Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. As you know, it's your girl Cravin Cowboys. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. It is officially the first Sunday of the NFL season, right? I mean, we've had preseason games these past few days, but me personally, just being kind of catching back up on sleep and things like that. Getting back into the groove of work. Unfortunately, my vacation ended, but so I've been kind of missing out on some of these preseason games. But I definitely wasn't going to miss out on ours, right? Our Cowboys played this evening or this afternoon rather against the LA Rams, who they had the joint practice with the other day. So very excited to see that. Unfortunately, I did miss the scrimmage, but kind of catch up over the last few days. Some good, some bad. And definitely some takeaways. Just kind of looking at that practice and of course, the practice. I think the close practice they had on Friday. So just seeing these guys continue to progress and still getting out there on the field, and kind of getting and just some skirmishes out there. We saw the offense kind of getting into it with the Rams defense, which is good to see. I love the guys, finally being able to face off against some other guys, instead of just the same guys, on the same guys on your team that you always see, right? Before we get started, thank you to everyone who's in the building so far. Stephen Carroll, number one. First of all, Stephen Carroll, thank you again for your donation. You had another donation these past few days. That's another reason why I want to hop on. I really just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's donated to my channel so far, and everyone who's liked, everyone who's shared, everyone who has subscribed in the last few days. If you guys know, you probably came through Law Nation or Mark Holmes, or if you guys been watching through maybe by chance a Cowboys fan. I met a lot of new people out there that, that's one good thing about going to camp or going to Cowboys events. You get to meet new people, kind of network, things like that. And I just really had a great time. So, shout out to Stephen Carroll, Marcus McCarlin in the building, Sadiqa, my girls in the building. What's up, girl? How you doing? Thank you so much for being here, you guys. And like I said, shout out to everybody on this list: JBV Boy, Nisi, Eastside Harold, Melvin Rankin, Bruce Anthony Juice, Eric Hunter, Julius, B-Bird, Dwayne Brown, like I said, Stephen Carroll, everyone who's just, like I said, took the time to donate to my channel. And not just donating, like I said, people who taking time to watch my videos, watch my content, the training camp clips I had out these past few days, really trying to bring you guys some good, better content. Shout out to Law Nation, for really just presenting a great opportunity out there in Oxnard. Me being able to interview some of these players, some of these coaches. As you guys saw in my sneak preview, my interview, I was able to really the first person I was able to get an interview with, my way in there was Nate Newton, who just happened to be standing there, observing the beginning of practice. And I had to jump on. I watched his show, the podcast he's a part of. I believe it's Hanging with the Boys. I believe he's still in the same podcast this year. And I just love the input that he has. He's a former offensive lineman, and just and he's actually out there, at camp, giving his commentary. And also at the same time, he's out there with the players, out there not necessarily coaching them, but giving his instruction, being there for guys, letting them know what they could do better, what they are doing well. And like I said, and being able to snag him on the way in was huge for me, and I was glad to be able to talk to him. So, like I said, that's gonna be part of my show today. Really, this is gonna be the final. If you guys saw the thumbnail, this is my final show of my series. On my countdown to camp, quote unquote. And as you guys didn't hear me kind of hint throughout the off season, that it was gonna be about Zimmer. He's defensive hire. And I just, we've been seeing, week to week, almost day to day, changes in the defense. We see them moving faster, moving smarter, with more precision, better decision making, and and for me to actually be able to go out there and see with my own eyes, like Nate Newton said in that clip, the discipline kind of showing through. You know what I mean? Just these guys stepping up. Damone Clark, his confidence not only going up, but his play going up as well. We see him playing, better at the line. Kind of getting back to who he was a couple of years ago. Kind of sticking out the ball carrier, and able to be able to step up and make the tackle. Sadiqa says, "Click the intro. You have the word subscribe as subscribe." Okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that might have been the graphic I used, but yeah, I'll be sure to change that. I appreciate that. But yeah, like I was saying, yeah, to be able to get that interview with Nate Newton was huge. So he just kind of, offered. I really would have asked him, what he thinks, how he thinks, Zimmer's effect on the defense could also translate over to the offensive line. But I just wanted to ask him a couple questions, kind of get out of his hair a little bit. But hey, what's up, JBB boy? What's up? Good to see you. I just gave you a shout out. As one of the people who's have donated to my channel. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was just talking about how able to kind of sneak that interview with Nate Newton, and he just kind of gives his point of view and up on the Cowboys bringing in Zimmer and how he thinks that he can change the team. So without further ado, actually, let me see before I go any further. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Before I go any further, I just want to give us, like I said, a special shout out to Law Nation, Landlord, Mark Holmes, Callie Pat, One Star, One Family, DJ Kai, and Sherry Godmother. Also, Super Cowboy and Princess Angie, who I was also able to meet. I was out there at training camp. Very, very exciting to meet you guys. And like I said, meeting new people is always, it's just, I guess maybe as I'm getting older, it's a little bit more exciting for me. And like I said, me being able to network, kind of in this community, not only quote unquote networking, but also meeting new friends, meeting other fans who, kind of have the same goal in mind as me, right? Just trying to elevate the team, trying to get our opinions out, and really just trying to make this team better. Hopefully through our opinions, hopefully through our voices. Shout out Boss Cowboy, like you said, our voice matters, and we've seen, and even just last year, us getting our opinions out about, more use of Brandon Cooks or possibly, bringing in free agents to help. And although we still see the Cowboys make those moves, even in this offseason with the guys that they have brought in, I kind of get into this more as the show goes along. But it's just like the guys that they bring in, they have some sort of connection or some sort of familiarity with Zimmer or maybe a member of the coaching staff or even the player. You know what I'm saying? So I just like that they're keeping up that theme of familiarity with the people that they are bringing in. So like I said, without further ado, let me go ahead and start getting into the show and bring up these clips for you guys. First part, like I said, this show's going to be about Zimmer and what I think his lasting effect. I kind of had a hot take. If you guys have been watching my last couple of shows, I kind of had a hot take. I'm kind of starting with the show. Kind of starting out talking about Zimmer, about how I think Zimmer and both McCarthy, just kind of speaking on both of them. I think both of them are going to be here, after this season. And I don't really see, them getting fired, or I don't think they could be. Number one, we know the effect that McCarthy has had on the Cowboys, and number two, we see, we can visually see the effect that Zimmer's having on the defense. And we see them stepping up. We see them making more interceptions, more pass breakups in practice. We see them moving faster, having playing a little bit more free. We talk about that with Ramon Clark, but we also, even with the veterans that they're bringing in, the free agents that they're bringing in, even from the UFL or guys who have had past NFL experience, these guys are picking up the system, no problem. They're, even this the other day signing Nick Vigil, linebacker who was drafted by and who has had time, and also bringing in Darius Harris, another guy who played with the system. They said they were able to get into practice just the other day, no problem, and moving fast and just showing to be high IQ players, and that's another thing that another theme that seems to be amongst the guys that they bring into this organization to help out is that, like I said, they're familiar with the system, but they're high IQ, very smart guys, and you hear them. So, you hear them use that word smart or brilliant to describe the players that they bring in here. Even from Scott McCurley to Zimmer talking about working with Parsons, or him bringing along his guy Eric Kendricks, talking about how smart he is and how he's able to relay the defense to the player. So it's just I love the theme that Zimmer is kind of presenting, on his way in. And I'm gonna kind of get into that as the show goes on, but I'm kind of presenting it today as the 3 C's, right? I just kind of wanted to show you guys how I think Zimmer is laying his foundation, and it doesn't even really go for just the defense. I mean, if you change one side of the ball, it's going to be bound to change the other side of the ball, right? Because this particular defense is going to start getting better, getting stronger, making better decisions, and that in turn, you would think would make the offense better. It's going to, improve the offensive line by, having them go against, having more pressures off the line, going against guys who never have good power. I mean, we see them having to go against, guys like Osa Odighizuwa in practice. Shout out to Landlord who asked Brock Hoffman a great question. Who gives you the most trouble? And he said it was Osa Odighizuwa who gives him the most trouble in practice. So going up against these guys, okay, yeah, appreciate that, sis. Appreciate that. She said she tagged me on Twitter in an article from Nick Harris. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you already know, but Nick Harris is a great beat writer for DallasCowboys.com. Excellent. We had him on, me and Star had him on our show a couple weeks ago, I believe, before I flew out there to California. And he just offers great insight, and he has amazing articles, and he has great questions, great information that he provides to us fans, and I always look forward to his articles. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure you guys hear this ice cream man rolling here. Like, I'm just trying to be great out here, y'all, and salute to him, getting his money out. I ain't know that. But I don't know if I got to shout over this ice cream music. Yeah, but we gonna keep going, y'all. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. But like I said, we're gonna get into the show. I have some slides for you guys, but I want you guys to kind of wait around for the middle part of the show, because that's really where a lot of these clips are, and really a lot of my proof that that Zimmer is laying an excellent foundation with not just the players, but the coaching staff, and he's just creating an environment along with McCarthy. I believe it started with McCarthy, and him bringing in Zimmer, which is great for the team aspect. And he's just, like I said, the effect he's having on the players and the coaching staff, I think is shining through really well. So, yeah, let's get into it. So I want you guys to take a look at this. Okay, thank you, JBB boy. Appreciate you. All right, good to know the audio is good. So I want you guys to take a look at this. Let me get it off here. I made this kind of like web/chart, and this is going to be the first C. As I think Zimmer is laying his foundation. The first way he's kind of making his team better is through his connectivity, right? And of course, like I just said, McCarthy already being here, bringing in Zimmer. We saw the chemistry, from the first opening press conferences, and just kind of how they bounce off each other. This year Zimmer's going to be on the sideline, so they're going to be able to work, even more closely together. So I think that's going to be great. Starting off the season that way, we see them working together to make these practices, what they are. We see the offense challenging the defense, and vice versa. And McCarthy even spoke about it when he was talking about the joint practice, like how he was working with Sean McVay, and how he told them specific things that he wanted them to present in practice in order to challenge the offense, in order to challenge the defense as well. And I'm sure he does that on a day-to-day basis, working with Zimmer, as it is. So I think it's just really these guys are, they work together in the past, of course, facing each other in previous seasons, but now they're able to, to work together, kind of use each other's, kind of pick each other's brains, and just kind of bounce off each other and bounce great ideas off each other, and at the same time kind of challenge each other. The type of defense that Zimmer can bring and that he's bringing in his practices, and we already see just how even and not just Trey Lance having some off passes in practice, but in the beginning Dak was having some off passes, and even now Dak is playing well, but we see more sacks in practice, we see more pass breakups, we see better coverage from the DBs on the third level in the secondary. So it's good to see, we're seeing improvement across all lines, if you will. Hey, Calvin Hicks, what's up? Good to see you. What's up? Good to see you. Hold him now, JV boy. Don't say no Scott McCurley. Hold him now. Hold up. Time out now. And I want you guys to stick around for that Scott McCurley segment. I think you guys are really going to love that. Please stick around for that. But no, the only reason I really included Scott McCurley, because we know McCarthy brought him in. That's his guy. He brought him into, that was his guy in Green Bay. Yeah, doesn't it, Stephen Carroll? Yeah, it makes me want one of them superhero popsicles. I haven't had one of those in a long time, man. But I got it because it's actually really not hot this morning. Actually, it's actually kind of cool out here. That's why I'm glad to actually sit outside. That kind of gave me indication that summer is kind of coming to a close a little bit. We know August is when it starts to it's really supposed to still be hot, I thought, but it's starting to cool down. It's really only it's like 75, 76 out here, so it's definitely cool, definitely nice, and it just lets me know that fall is around the corner. We know football starts today, so it just makes me very excited. But yeah, like I was saying, Scott McCurley working with McCarthy, like I mentioned kind of later on in the show, McCurley he somebody that never really had the bodies in the room to work with, right? But they bring in the Kendricks, they bring in the veteran who can be like a player coach, a guy that he can talk to on the field, or a guy that he can translate the defense on the field and talk to the players. And it's just for someone, a veteran mind that McCurley can talk to, I don't want to say relate to, but he needs a veteran in there, number one, to be able to teach the main points to, and then, like he said, you can't get everything in a meeting. So yeah, when you are in practice, when the players are off on their own, they can talk to a veteran like Kendricks and even other guys that they brought in, like a Damian Wilson, like a Willie Harvey who have experience in this league. They have other veteran mindsets in the room now. Even now with Nick Vigil and Darius Harris, who have experience in the league, and Kelvin Hicks says, I don't like Scott nor our O line coach, to be honest. And I can feel you on that, Kelvin. I think after I show you guys today this show, I think you'll have a little bit more leniency for Scott. But as far as Solar, yeah, he's kind of he seems kind of kind of setting his ways type. I listened to his interview, just kind of listening to some of the words he kind of uses, like Tyler Guyton, he's competing, he's still ascending, he's still kind of working. I understand he's missed practices here and there. He's been out for a little bit being sick, but I don't know. I just kind of had this feeling that, and I'm just like, he said he's competing, and I'm like, who is he competing with? Because you're trying to say that he's competing with Schumer. You're trying to say he's competing with Austin Richard. He's having a decent camp. He's definitely coming along, but I'm with some of these other content creators who are just kind of like in that mindset, like, hey, just let this dude play, just let him, get those reps in and get ready. I mean, you have BB taking center snaps, so why not? Why not? And I understand, Guyton has been out sick, and then he definitely needs to get back. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see him today. Hopefully, we do. I'm saying we never know, but anyway, back to the show. Like I said, just if you guys just take a look at this, this web, if you will, you just see all these connections that Zimmer has really brought into the building. We know he hired Coach Greg Ellis, Coach Jeff Zgonina, well, he's worked with Ellis before. He's been to a training camp with him, and he also coached him when he played with the Cowboys. So just having that connection, and also what I learned through Jeff Zgonina's interview, he actually mentioned that that he worked with Shaka Tony in Washington, and that Tony is former teammates with Michael Parsons. So like I said, just seeing all these connections. Zimmer brought in Paul Gunther to help out with with Parsons and the other linebackers with stopping the run. But another connection, Paul Gunther drafted Nick Vigil, and played with him, with the Bengals, and then he also played a year under Zimmer. So it's just like I said, all these connections that they have. I think just helps the transition, just make it a little bit smoother with some of these players coming in. And like I said, you don't have to take that time, like I guess, like Al Harris kind of said when he was talking about Kalen Carson, you don't have to, even if you are bringing in older seasoned guys and you may have to maybe break bad habits, it makes the transition a little bit smoother when you can bring in guys who, have familiarity with the system, or they have familiarity with, these coaches. And I think, it helps, when you're transferring somewhere, right? Like say you switch jobs, or you transfer, you have the same job and you transfer to another state, or you transfer to like another say like another plant or something like that, and you happen to see an old coworker or somebody or an old friend or something like that, you feel a little bit better because you're familiar with them, right? Because you're a little bit more you're a little bit more comfortable with the company, right? With the company you're keeping. So I think that, like I said, I just think that makes the transition just a little bit better for these coaches along with the players coming in. And I kind of have started in the corner, Damian Wilson, Keeman Hall, guys who have been here in this organization before. Keeman Hall on the practice squad back in 2020 under Mike McCarthy, and Damian Wilson, who we know was here back in 2015. A linebacker, who's shown, he made his name when he was here before, and he's also making a name for himself now, coming back. Like I said, another veteran mindset in that room, but also, playing fast on the field. He was one of the guys, along with Willie Harvey, who was out there making plays. Just another, like I said, another veteran mindset that even Scott McCurley could talk to and say, he even got excited about Damian Wilson being back in the building. So I just think it shows a lot. Hey, Steve, what's up, Stephen White? What's up? How you doing? Hey, Stephen White, by the way, let me know if I try my best to go through my past shows and try to make my followers mods. But so I should have made you a mod, Stephen White. But the way I'm streaming, like I stream through Restream, so when I'm looking, I can't tell if it if it actually went through until I actually rewatch the show back. So let me know, Stephen, if you're a mod, and anybody else in the chat, let me know if you guys are mods or not, and then let me know, and I'll go back and rewatch the show and make sure I make sure you guys mods as well. So yeah, we'll move on to the next slide. And this next part of the show, like I said, I think you guys will really like this. I just have some stuff I want to go through with you guys. Like I said, just proving my point. from my point of, like, I'm actually going to start off with the clip of my interview with Nate Newton. And, he kind of gives his opinion as to he why he believes that Zimmer brought these guys in. And I'm gonna let him explain it in the interview, and then I'm also going to show clips of interviews with Greg Ellis and Coach Zgonina, and just how they plan to communicate with their players, and how he is. Seeing, okay, good, all right, great. And also, like I said, anybody else in the chat, if you're not a mod, if you are a mod, let me know. If you guys are, so that way I can go back and rewatch the show, make you guys mods in the chat. Please let me know. Tyrone Church, what's up? What's up, fam? Good to see you doing, fam. Okay, he said he's not. Okay, then I definitely got to go back and make sure that I make you mod. I definitely got to make sure I do that. Okay. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so like I said, make sure you guys stay tuned for this next part of the show. Like I said, this is really where the meat of the show is, where I think the hardcore evidence is as to just how in depth Zimmer's imprint goes for this team. All right, so here we go. Let me start with first my interview with former Cowboys offensive lineman Nate Newton. And let me turn this music down very quick. Okay, so here we go. Here with up-and-coming content creator Cravin Cowboys. Just want to ask you a couple questions, sir. What makes you most excited about the Cowboys bringing in Zimmer and what he can teach his defensive line?
Well, he's more of a discipline. He's going to ask guys to do their job and to play their responsibilities, and hopefully help with the run game. He's a hard-nosed coach, but he can relate to the players. He understands this new breed of players, so I think things will be okay, and I think he'll get guys going in the right direction.
All right, perfect. And just one last question for me, if you don't mind. What makes you most excited about him also bringing in Greg Ellis and Coach Zgonina to help with the defensive edges and defensive tackles?
It's all about trusting guys to do what you ask them to do, and it starts with your coaches. He's the coordinator, the defensive line coaches that you're talking about. He trusts them. They understand his techniques and what he's want. And they're going to drive that home and make sure that it get done so that the players will know what to do.
All right, perfect. All right, guys. So you heard Nate Newton. Let me know if you guys could hear the interview. And shout out to him for spending his time. I really, really do appreciate that. Like I said, it's amazing to get those couple questions off. And you guys heard his answers. Number one, he believes that Zimmer can. He does mention that he's a hard-nosed coach, but he says he knows how to relate to the players. He knows how to talk to these players, and even with the new quote unquote generation, that was something we were worried about, right? Them bringing in Zimmer, him being having a up-and-coming content creator, Cravin Cowboys. Just want to ask you. Sorry about that, y'all. Let me come in right quick. Yeah, like he was saying, that's what we were worried about when they first hired Zimmer. Him being older guy. When we have potential suitors like quote unquote like a Bill Belichick, or even I forget the coach's name from college, but they were talking about bringing in older minds. We were afraid that with these newer breed of players that they wouldn't be able to relate, right? But we just to see a different approach with the defense, and really just them kind of really kind of change overnight. Nate Newton has a point that he's relating to the players very well. You guys seen with the Hooker interview I had that. Even Malik Hooker said that I don't even think I've heard him yell. That's a quote from him. And so he said that, he makes sure that, he's not in there. He's not just disrespecting guys, but he's going to make sure that these guys get the message. As you guys are going to see, you guys are going to hear from Greg Ellis as well, Coach Zgonina, like that. Hey, exactly, JB boy, appreciate you saving. Yeah, saving, that's his name. Yeah, but so that was kind of the thing that they were talking about, bringing in older minds here. So. Just seeing that it pretty much has like the very opposite effect. We see these guys are taken to learning from him, from the young guys to the veteran guys alike. It's just seeming like, Zimmer's teaching styles. You guys are going to hear later on towards the end of the show is in his own words, where he says like, hey, I look to see how these guys need to be taught, and I teach them that way. He said that from the beginning of the offseason, where guys need to be coached different ways. You can take them to the side, take them under your, take them under your wing. You can blast them out in practice. You can give them tough love. You just got to really see what type of coaching style these guys take to. and then follow accordingly. It's really, I'm not gonna say it's that simple because it's not that simple. You got to first learn the learning styles of these players and then follow accordingly. But being him having his experience as a head coach and him having these guys around him having have that experience, and like Nate Newton says, the trust that he has in his guys to be able to relay that message when he's not around, I think that just speaks volumes as to the mind that he's brought in here, and just how much he does expect of not just the players but of his coaching staff as well. So we're going to move on to Greg Ellis. He's going to give his opinion as to what it's like working with Zimmer, and also how he plans to try to communicate with his room and just the kind of message he's trying to get across to his players. Yeah, exactly, Stephen White, and we have a very young team, and even if you guys remember last season, that was a thing. We were like I think the second youngest team in the NFL to the Packers. You know what I mean? And now a lot of the guys that we've lost in free agency, that makes our team even younger. You know what I'm saying? And even the UDFA's that they brought on, the guys that they drafted, that's an even younger new slate of guys coming in. So yeah, so with us even having an even younger team, that makes for even more. That's kind of something that Al Harris kind of said when he was talking about Kalen Carson. Guys being, or him being a blank slate, and that you can kind of a little bit easier to mold, right? And we can kind of look at this draft class, these younger guys in their second, maybe even third years who are still trying to come along. We can look at them as still play to be molded. That you have these particular coaches. You have a Al Harris, you have a Brian Scott behind him, you have Mike McCarthy, Zimmer, these minds who may not be able. We talk about you know, McCarthy may not be able to make big plays in big situations, or even when Quinn was here. Don't want to talk too much about Quinn, but we talk about Quinn maybe being a better coordinator, vice a head coach, right? And now Zimmer is kind of doing the opposite, right? Kind of doing the opposite now, right? He's being a coordinator, vice being a head coach. So these guys may specialize in certain areas. So now when you bring all these specialties together to work together on one accord, it just hopefully it'll help hopefully help the transition just kind of go a little smoother. Yeah, yeah, exactly. They'll listen, and they want to be coached. Exactly, Stephen. Right? They want to be coached.
Easier for much easier does it make your job as a position coach when you have a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence helping you bring up some of these younger guys and get them up the form?
It's great, and I tell him that all the time. I tell him I love him all the time. I tell him I wish I could.
Career and pouring to these
All right.
guys.
Well, I mean, to me, it's still pass rushing. You know what I mean? It's
All right. So like I said, it's gonna be Greg Ellis coming up next, just speaking about Zimmer's coaching and teaching style and how he plans to communicate with the defensive edge room.
You know what I mean? It's still playing a run, stop and run, tackle the football. So I don't see that part of it changing for a long, long time. And so I just still call on the stuff that, that I did and guys before me did that I learned from, and try to, pull a piece here, pull a piece there, and put together a nice puzzle that our guys can learn from and grow from. So for as that point of view, pass rushing and tackling the football, that hasn't changed a whole lot. And there's a lot of other things that have changed about the NFL, but, tackling the football, sacking the quarterback, batting down balls, that has not changed.
And you mentioned earlier you feel like you're cheating the system because of the coaching staff that you're surrounded with. So let's kind of segue over to player coaches. How much easier does it make your job as a position coach when you have a guy like DeMarcus Lawrence helping you bring up some of these younger guys and get them up the form?
It's great, and I tell him that all the time. I tell him I love him all the time. I tell him I wish I could have played with him because he epitomizes a player coach, in my opinion, right? And so with a guy like that, he makes your job better and easier because he's echoing one for what you say. And as I spoke about earlier, he's one of those guys that tells the other guy, hey man, stay locked in, stay focused. He's constantly giving that motivational, inspirational kind of speech to the guys. If he feels like they're low, he's telling them the detailed things. And I'll start when I'm talking about pass rushing and he wants to interject, I'll stop and he'll interject to our guys. And so he makes it a lot easier for me, if you would.
Greg, when you
How valuable is that?
All right. So you guys just heard Greg Ellis, speak about D-Law and a player coach type mentality, right? And I just found that really interesting because we talk, we always, and not saying we never recognize D-Law, not saying we never recognize him as that type of player, but just hearing Greg Ellis himself call him number one, the player coach, and admitting that, hey, even in practice, when he wants to interject, when he wants to kind of give advice to these young players, he feels like he can kind of offer something to the conversation. He allows them to speak up. He steps aside and lets him, help kind of, like you said, kind of get the players kind of amped up, get them in that mindset, because like you said, it's better when, like when you guys are going to see McCurley say later on, but he says it's nothing like, you can be a coach all day, but it's nothing like having someone like a player on the field with them, so that way they can show them the way, and they can, teach them little things, teach them little nuances, and even like Greg Ellis says that, him and Zgonina having the experience is going to be able to teach these players just little tricks of the trade that maybe a coach, who hasn't been maybe playing in a while can, who may not be able to teach them. Hey, what's up, landlord? What's up? Hey, look, I just gave you a shout out earlier, fam. Like, man, like you were just like I'm glad you're here. Like, I go ahead and let you know that like you're the craziest wingman, man. I really appreciate, man. Like, it was dope, hanging out with you out there at camp, asking questions on the sideline with the players. Like you said, man, we was getting mad players, mad interviews, man. Like, you got some dope ass questions, man. Like, it was really great rocking with you out there, man. Like, we really, like I said, we got some great players, some great player interviews. Like, I loved your interview with Coach Zgonina. I'm like, yo, this dude got the D line, coach. Are you crazy? And like, I have to say, like, that little eyebrow raise he did, like behind them shades. I'm like, man, like he has that just like perfect amount of crazy, like, for our team. Like, man, that was a dope interview, man. Really appreciate that. DC for Life, Texas. Really appreciate you two being in the building. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate everybody for joining me. Yeah, like I said, like you guys have heard Greg Ellis say, like you said, like it's great having a player like D-Law in the room. Just like it's great for Greg Ellis to have somebody like Kendricks to be able to relate to, like a player coach who could talk to these players and just give them the little ins and outs of the position that the coaches aren't around every time. So here's another example. Coach Zgonina is going to talk about, his expectations of these players. What he wants to see from them in the Rams practice, and then also we're going to kind of get into some clips about Mozzie. Shout out to my girl Star. Shout out to Big Game James. I'm going to have a clip from their show coming up here about their thoughts on Zgonina's influence on Mozzie's progression.
Is that to go from going against the ones in the same uniform to this joint practice against the Rams? As a coach, what are you looking to take away from tomorrow's practice?
How they handle themselves. See if they stay on script or what we've been teaching them for the last couple of weeks, and see what how they progress. He's doing good. He's doing fine. I mean, my approach is different than a lot of other people. But I think he's drawn to it. I mean, he's accepted it. He's trying what I'm asking. He's working for me, and I have he has no problems with it. And I have no problems with him.
Development there. How has he developed so far? How's he doing?
And he's doing good. He's learning a new style. We're a little bit different than we were last year, or they were last year. Excuse me. And he's learning. He's trying new things. We're trying to get the right fit for him. And he's doing well. I think. He's got to get his conditioning going, like he didn't last spring because he's coming off the injury. But he's in a good spot, and we just got to keep getting better and better every day. That's why we come to training camp.
And I love that. I don't know. I'm just me personally watching this interview. You can tell that even though Zgonina has that tough exterior and even the tough interior, what I'm saying, he definitely practices what he preaches, but you can see that he is genuinely taking in the I guess the quote unquote project that was Mozzie, right? He came in with knowing that ET was a weak position, knowing that was the expectation for this year, for it to be strengthened and put on his shoulders, if you will. He was given Mozzie a project like Mozzie. He was given a rookie like Justin Rogers, an undrafted guy like Denzel Jackson. So he's given this group of guys like my point will be later on McCurley. He's given this group of guys. And he's told, okay, we need the best out of these guys. Let's see what you can do. So he's like, look, number one, I don't think I included in this interview, but he's also talking about Rogers. He's like, look, he's a rookie. Like, we don't expect so much of him. He's learning. He said the same thing as Mozzie. He's learning. Even though I have a tough teaching. I kind of teach in a tough way. He's taken to it. He's doing what I ask of him, and that's all you can ask, right? That's all you can ask for both sides. That's all you can ask of Zgonina, for him to offer his services, offer him, his tough love approach, along with bringing Zimmer in. But Mozzie is doing his part as well. He's learning, he's listening. You guys can kind of see how he's coming. We see him having a better camp, and I just think that just kind of speaks to the point that Zgonina is. Like I said, I just feel like he's genuine in his teaching of Mozzie, but also the other players as well, because you can hear his his review of people. He's genuine about how these guys are progressing along and how he believes that these guys can still make an effort to contribute, but also he's not trying to put too much on their shoulders. If you kind of you got your minimum. And then this last kind of part of the question, I think this last part of the interview just talks about how he mentioned Shaka Tony to the team, and now he came in and did well on this tryout.
A lot of experience, and but every staff's got experience, but I think.
No, this clip is actually, he's talking about being on McCarthy's coaching staff and just kind of the environment he's created.
Camaraderie here is really good too. Coaches built a great atmosphere for the coaches and the players. And everybody helps everybody.
You've been on both.
What did you like about Shaka? I think you had him.
I had him in Washington. He got
your back here. It's okay. You can come here. I know if I'm pushing you.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier.
Go ahead.
Like I mentioned earlier, Shaka Tony was mentioned by Jeff Zgonina to the team. For as a potential free agent to come in and help out after the Sam Williams injury. And he's come in and right along with Al-Qadim Muhammad. They've both come in and just shown, we see speed off the edge, we see power at the line. And, now granted, these snaps are against, a Matt Waletzko. They are against, guys like Austin Richards, who are coming along. But so granted, those, second team guys, third team guys. So I do understand, but for them to, like I said, for them to be coming in and just showing so much progression so quick. These guys just showing a grasp on the defense. I just think that shows how easily, or just how seemingly easy it seems for this defense to translate to these new players coming in. Stephen White says, "Did he seem confident? Can he fix us?" Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about Jeff Zgonina. I mean, he does seem confident. I mean, he's, like I said, he just seems, he's definitely a straight shooter. You know what I mean? He just, he's saying like it is what it is. Like these guys are young. Mozzie is coming along. We're still expecting to do, we're expecting him to come along, but he is coming back from injury. He is still, doing his conditioning. He did have a shoulder injury, and he does mention that Justin Rogers is a rookie, so it's going to take time for him to come along. So I just think, like I said, I like that he's trying to temper people's expectations, because we know the kind of expectations we place on our players, being Cowboys players. But I just think that the stream East IO, I'm broke. I'm not sure what you mean, Stephen White. Hey, what's up, David? JFK MLK. Appreciate you for joining me. I recognize you're one of newer followers. Appreciate that. He says, is the game on ABC, CBS, or I think it's NBC, right? I think it's on. I know it comes on at I think 425, 430. I'm assuming it's on NBC. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I gotta check for myself for real. JB says, were they using different rushing techniques? You talking about out of camp? I mean, honestly, if I can be honest, looking back over some of my clips, my personal clips, I do see them still doing stunts at the line. I do remember Zimmer mentioning that, creating simulated pressure at the line, using stunts. That's something similar to what Quinn did when he was here. But I think he's going to do, I think he's going to use stunts, but in smarter situations, and not go crazy. Hopefully not go crazy with the stunt game. We kind of saw that how to kind of hinder some of our line game in previous, last season. Especially a lot, getting closer to the goal line. I mean, me and Stark kind of spoke about that, just about Quinn's tendencies, getting closer to the goal line. You don't want to leave I don't know. You don't want to do certain things in certain situations, right? But like I said, I don't want to see too much about Quinn, but as far as this year, yeah, they're definitely still using some of those techniques. Like I said, me personally, watching them from my own clips, I do see them using stunts. Like I've seen them, using. I would say, in certain situations, I would see them, putting a ghost on the outside for Hopeful lined up at 3 tech. And then, of course, I'll say Justin Rogers, and they may have Muhammad, lined up on as right defensive end. As far as me watching the second team or third teams lined up, like I said, I do see some of the stunts. But as far as rushing techniques, I don't know. I don't know if I would say different rushing techniques, but maybe in different situations, you know what I mean? But yeah, let me get back to this clip. This like I said, this is just further I just kind of like how Star and Big kind of broke this down about Skinny's effect on Mozzie, like just how he's kind of just he's taking it step by step with him, just kind of like I was talking my point earlier that Skinny just seems genuine in how he wants to take care of this room.
It was just like they were saying the first snap. The first snap, we was just getting sacked. So I don't know if their line just sucks. But this is just good technique from us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's good technique. Go ahead and
we want to see improvement, right?
Exactly. Get his pad levels low. Get your pad levels low and get to the quarterback. That's what we want to see. Like, here's another one, I think. No, that's Marshawn Needland. Who also
Here's the thing. I will say for Mozzie, I want you to do good. You drafted in the first round. Dallas needs help at the defensive tackle position. Dallas, we all need him to step up, right? Because that's what you need, that position. It is a weakness right now. So you want him to step up. But I like seeing that. That's good. The thing that I love is Zimmer. Jeff Z. I like him as a coach. He's intense.
Yeah,
he's not letting, because if I watched him as a player, and he was just as a player, he's coaching at how he played. So he coaches hard. So I appreciate how he's coaching Mozzie hard. And then I think Zim is giving him good, tough love too, though. I think he's encouraging him. I think the thing that they said when they first got Mozzie is we breaking it down. We're gonna work with hands first. We're gonna work with them hands first. And if you notice that, that's what you see. You see the hand work, right? So that's something that they identified before training camp, and now you see it. So I will say that's a positive, because that's saying that he's listening, he's working, and it's getting better. Now, we saw a little bit here in camp. Now we need to see it in that game and the rest of these 3 games. So you can have some confidence down the line that Mozzie's going to do something. I still think you need depth on that defensive tackle position. Stop moving those damn 3 techs in that middle. You stop it. Just stop. You got Goldston, you be Osa, you be putting all them smaller guys in that defense, 280s. You're going to get your ass kicked, okay? So get a big boy.
You need 300-plus pounders, especially like on rundown, stuff like that.
Yeah, so you guys just heard, like I said, shout out to Big Game James, shout out to Star for those excellent points. I chose that clip because I just really feel like they spoke to how, like I said, Zimmer's affect his teaching style through his assistant coaches. And like Big said, you in that clip you see with Mozzie, you see him, just kind of strike at the line, kind of drag his opponent down, and able to get past him. And that's strictly technique. I mean, it's one thing for you to be at the line and for you to push. Like this, it's kind of an observation I made when I was out there talking about Rodgers. Like, I like the power I see at the line, but I just need to see a little bit more strike. Just a little bit more punch. You know what I mean? He just kind of seems like he just kind of like hits a wall, and like his energy just kind of dissipates. You know what I mean? So I just want to see just a little bit more power. Maybe just going to take a little bit more work. I mean, we do have a few more weeks of camp left over. We do have preseason today to see what these guys can put out. But yeah, I agree with you, David. Yeah, we need to trade for a DT. And I don't know what other big body guys are out there who could be available. But yeah, it's just, I think that could be a reason why they're doing rushing techniques like stunts and things like that to kind of make up for the fact that we don't have these big, these like Carr said, these big boy bodies in the middle. So I mean, I'm sure that kind of makes up for what they're lacking, but it's just we still need to see more from these guys. It's good to see the progress, but as the season draws closer, it just gets a little nerve wracking when you're like Big Game say, when you're seeing those 3 techs in the middle. It doesn't work all the time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree, and I love that they also brought in, like I said, other guys, Al Qadim Muhammad and Shaka Tony as well, just to kind of give Micah a break. Like, he was definitely. I mean, we've seen him in previous seasons how worn down he gets down the line in the season, and even so, you don't get Sam Williams playing time. You know what I'm saying? We still didn't even see more snaps from Dante Fowler. We just saw Mike Parsons out there, alongside D-Law and things like that. But when you don't change. And there was even, I don't have the clip here in the show, but even late early in the season when LVE went down, he even said that, well, the plans don't change for Micah. They still kept him at deep, at edge. They, Quinn still, became predictable and just wasn't using Micah as a chess piece enough. So, like I said, just seeing, and not to get too far ahead, but just just seeing in the different ways that Zimmer is using Micah, that's interesting as well. Yeah, exactly, JB. If we still have John Ridgway and Quentin Bohannon with Mozzie Smith and Osa and the 7th-round rookie, it would be unbelievable. It would be unbelievable. It's crazy that the guys that they let go. You know what I mean? And even and I understand Gallimore wasn't coming along. We had hope, but even letting go of Gallimore, and he was a kind of a low depth piece, but he had he almost had the size. He didn't have the full size that we wanted, but it's just when you let go of these guys that I'm saying, that we could be using right here and right now, it's just kind of like wow. It's just like wow, you know what I mean? Yeah, I believe that too. I think it was Slam Williams' year. Shout out to landlord Slam Williams. It was definitely his year. And it's unfortunate we have to wait, but I really feel like, and I don't know if he would have had like a 10-sack season. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that he really would have took this opportunity. I mean, Zimmer said in his interview that Sam Williams was one of the first people to come to his office, one of the first players to come to his office, talking about trying to have a big standout year. He spoke about it in his home run derby interview about wanting to take the opportunity to make sure, and it's not just about the money, but he wants to make sure that he gets the money right, gets it right, has the right way to be able to take care of his family, but also at the same time to be able to produce on the field, to be able to give this coaching staff a reason to trust him again, right? We know him coming in the season last year, not saying we would expect mistakes, but we were kind of hoping that he wouldn't make any, right? So it's just I think, not saying we expected a lot from him this year. I just think that we really wanted to see him this year because we know that he was going to try to prove a lot for himself. You know what I mean? So let me play this clip. This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk. These next few couple clips are just, like I said, just kind of expounding on the ways that Zimmer likes to kind of delegate his power to his head coaches and just how much trust he does put in them.
A long conversation with Zim is Zim's delegating every position coach to their respective rooms, which he does do, and that's kind of Mike McCarthy's head coaching style in general, is like, hey, this is going to be your job, I'm not going to overstep, like that's your job, this is your job, or whatever. So it seems like Zim has faith in his position coaches enough that's like, hey, these are your guys to work with, right?
Scrump,
so
right?
It's Jeff Zgonina and Greg Ellis, which
a lot of people talk about Zim and he's this hardcore guy. I spoke to Rick Spielman this past weekend, and he said he does a pretty good job pulling guys aside one-on-one and kind of talking. Is there an example from maybe when you were in Minnesota when he pulled you aside one-on-one and maybe let his guard down and was a little more?
Yeah, I feel like the way he kind of plays it, especially for the young guys, he kind of plays it a little bit distance. He coaches you hard. He wants you to see you have success. He wants you to do the right thing. He wants you to earn his trust. But I remember when I signed that new deal, we didn't really communicate a lot. But he brought me to the side and told me how much I deserved it. And as a young guy, I was going into my 4th year. That meant a lot at the time because I was making that transition from, I had a little bit of experience, but I was now kind of being a vet, and that's one of the things I remember.
It's not relaxing in our room, in the coaching room. He holds coaches to be responsible. I've been around him long enough to know whatever you tell him you're going to do, he's going to hold you to it, and so he's not going to forget it. And that's the good thing about him, though. That's what makes him a good coach. And I really couldn't think of a better coach for me to be under, to be honest with you, than him, to be honest with you.
Are you going to have to interpret some of his messages to your guys?
Oh, I do it already.
How he says it, this is what he means?
Oh, yes. We've had that conversation. Yes, and I tell the rookies, players, to be honest with you, too, is that understand this football is professional football, the highest level you can go. And so don't get caught up into how the message is being delivered, but just understand we are working towards the same goal.
What's the benefit of you and Jeff having played the position?
I think it's a huge benefit. You know what I mean? Jeff obviously handles more of, interior guys, and Jeff is the lead one. I'm assistants to him. I say that first and foremost. But I think it's a tremendous blessing, if you would, because we can tell you the play that we have to do that Zim has that he called, but we also can tell you little techniques and how to be more productive at executing that deal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you guys, just like I said, just running through those couple of clips, just giving examples of how Zim, just his teaching styles, like, Kendricks said in the beginning of the season, like, he doesn't really talk. I mean, and we kind of looked at it crazy, like when Michael was talking about me and Zim haven't really talked, right? We really haven't had conversations, right? And we're kind of like, what? Like, what, you haven't talked to Zim? That's kind of crazy to hear, but, and even that, now we're hearing it's different. We hear that Zimmer meets with Micah every morning. That they have, they started to form a relationship, and it's just, Zimmer makes sure that, like Kendrick said, he kind of comes, he kind of comes at you like from a distance. He wants you to earn his trust. Like he has the trust in his coaches already, right? But he's gonna put that trust in the coaches. Like, okay, I want you to teach these guys this, and this, for today, and I'm gonna come back, and at the end of the day, who has it down? Who doesn't have it down? How did you teach them? How this, that, that could be a way that he keeps communication with his coaches. And then, like you just heard with Ellis, like you just heard with Zgonina, they themselves have expectations of the players, so that way, the players, Zimmer doesn't have to worry about talking to the coaches and the players. Like, he just has the one level of responsibility talking to the coaches. And I want you guys to make sure that you have it down. And then the coaches have the responsibility to the players to make sure that they have it down. So I just think that it's a good flow in the system, but also a good flow of responsibility. That way you're not, Ellis kind of said it, he kind of talked about the atmosphere of practice, right? Where you have all these groups, but there's no one has to police themselves. Like, you don't have the line, you don't have McCurley having to worry about what the DBs are doing, right? You don't have McCarthy having to worry about, whether the wide receivers are doing, something totally different than the tight end coach, right? They don't have to worry about, he knows that they've gotten the message out to all the respective assistant coaches of each respective position group, and that everyone is being taught that same message that day. Everyone is being taught the same technique. Everyone is being taught the same, the same manner, or what have you. So it's just you can just kind of feel the level of trust that really has just kind of disseminated within his coaching staff. Let me see. Let me hit the chat. Jamison Taylor, what's up? Thanks for joining me. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing all right. David said, Steven, I think Zimmer defenses are designed to withstand a slow start, like in the Packers game, making teams drive the field. No quick scoring. Yeah, I think that's a good point, David. Listening to one of Zimmer's interviews, he mentions that, some of his philosophies, like I said earlier, having simulated pressure at the line, but also it's about, making the quarterback pull the ball down. It's about, putting pressure on the quarterback's face, trying to get the ball out, not trying to get the ball out quick, but, trying to make him make quick decisions. And at the same time, in the secondary, you have tight coverage. You have press coverage. You have guys who, he called it, your responsibility of making sure that your guy doesn't get the ball right to make the quarterback want to go somewhere else. Like, that's why it's important for us to have guys like Trayvon Diggs. It's important for us to have guys like Deron Bland, like a Kalen Carson coming up. So that way, to make the quarterback look around like, okay, so who am I really going to throw the ball to, right? So then at the same time, you got guys like, Micah Parsons coming off the edge. So it's just, you're putting all this pressure, all this stress on the quarterback to, which is going to start creating, interceptions, are going to start creating sacks, hopefully fumbles. Even in camp, you see the increase of interceptions. You see the increase, of tackles being made at the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Tackles for losses, things like that. So, like I say, you just seeing the difference in this team. Let me get back to my show, see where we are. Just about on the last topic here. Actually, yeah. Let me get to this. I know you guys talked about earlier. I know you guys are excited to hear about Scott McCurley. I know you guys dying to hear about Scott McCurley, right? But like I said, I just think this is a very interesting. I like to call it arc. I think let me actually let me see. Let me bring up clips.
Here with up and coming content creator Cravin Cowboys. Just want to ask.
My bad, y'all. I gotta let me find the place. Yeah, it should be about 10 minutes. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so I like to call this portion of my show is called Scott McCurley's arc, right? And I looked up the definition of arc, and what I want to do is, first of all, read it to you guys, so that way you kind of understand, why I did this segment. I know, right? I mean, we, even before this year, I wasn't even really paying attention to the linebackers coach, right? I really didn't even know. No, this is no disrespect, but I really didn't know who McCurley was. So I was just like, okay, so linebackers coach last year, and now since it started to become a big problem, I'm just kind of like, what's going on? Is the linebackers coach not teaching well? Can he not teach these guys? Did he even play the position? So just doing my own research, learning more about Scott McCurley, his history, and I believe he played linebacker. I want to say Penn State. I don't know. I think he played at school in Pennsylvania, but I don't know the exact school off the top of my head. Forgive me, please. But so I just, like I said, let me just read this definition right quick, and then we'll get back to the clip. Arc, a progression of events suggesting narrative cohesion, especially one that rises to a climax and settles to a final conclusion. Another definition I found says a complete story, or the story of one quote-unquote character or person like Scott McCurley, especially one that is part of a larger story. And I just kind of took that as, of course, he's part of a larger picture, the Cowboys organization, the linebacker coach. And as far as the first definition, I think you guys are going to see how these kind of clips go on. You just kind of see, I'll let you guys watch. I want you guys to watch his demeanor. Watching this, I want you guys to do me a favor. And before we go any further, please do me another favor. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit subscribe. Let me see. And yeah, okay, let me bring this up.
Here with up and coming content creator Cravin Cowboys. Just want to actually.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, pay attention to his demeanor. The way he talks about the players in the room. Of course, last year we had Marquise Bell, Micah Parsons, Damone Clark, and this guy, guys. This interview right here is going to be from week 7 last year, after the bye week, or at the bye week. Excuse me. Give me 1 second, y'all. Hey y'all, sorry about that. had to answer for something. But yeah, like I said, make sure you guys just pay attention to his behavior, how he, just like I said, his demeanor, how he talks about the players in the room, and just watch how his excitement just kind of increases as time goes on, and just listen to his words that he speaks throughout the several clips. Here we go.
You know what? We in my days in Green.
So this first initial question he's asked by Calvin Watkins, shout out to him, beat writer for the Dallas Cowboys. He asks him, this is from last year, when he had, like I said, when he had Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, Micah Parsons. He asks him, have you ever had this unique of a linebacker room?
You know what? We in my days in Green Bay, we kind of went back and forth with some different roles and how we did it. But it's an interesting group right now, that's for sure. But at the same time, they're good players. I mean, you move Mike off the ball, he's an elite linebacker off the ball too. We got guys like Bell moving into the room. I mean, he can cover and do all those jobs, and then you've got a versatile guy like Moan who can run the way he is. I mean, it's a great group to have. I mean, you could look at it in some ways at a disadvantage, but I think there's a lot of advantages to how we're built right now too.
How do you combat, when teams try to get physical, because Bell is small, he's like 250.
You know what? I believe in the way Marquise plays the game. I mean, big guys can play small in this league too, but he's going to fight you. He's going to try to get on and off those blocks, and he's going to play physical with a mindset that we like. So you know what? It is what it is. If that's the way they want to get down, that's the way they want to get down. But he's ready to go for it.
Damone lends a lot of his progression to the mentoring from Leighton since Damone has come into the league.
Yeah.
From your standpoint, coaching standpoint, how much of that actually meshes?
It definitely does. I think, Damone, in just his mindset, how he approaches the game, all of those things, something that there's a lot of things that coach in the room just can't do in forms of talking to a player in different ways of how they truly see the game, of maybe a mindset thing about where a play can be made that a coach just it doesn't translate sometimes like that. And Leighton's always been there to talk to him. Even last week, with Leighton being out, I know they texted and had some conversations, and I know Leighton's right there for him every step of the way. It's
all right, y'all. So before we move on to the next, kind of set of clips, like you guys can see his demeanor. You can, of course, he's kind of down. Of course, we know he lost Demarion Overshown in preseason. He had just lost LVE. His only true one linebacker is Damone Clark, who's still learning. He's on his second year, and he himself is coming back from an injury from the previous season. So you can kind of see how down he is. He's like, okay, look, I have a guy who's still growing. I have, Micah Parsons, Marquise Bell, he's showing heart. He's going to play. He's going to ask you. He's going to do what you ask of him. This, that, and the third. But you can see his frustration, right? He's like, look, if that's how they want to get down, that's how they're going to get down. But Marquise Bell is going to be ready, right? And I didn't really watch his interview last year, and I just think that a lot of other people didn't watch the interview either, because they only had, I think, 1.9 K views total. And I think it's over 400,000 subscribers with DallasCowboys.com, right? So a lot of people didn't really see this interview and just actually how he voiced his frustration. And he's like, look, like, I can speak to these players all day. I can believe in, and I believe in Marquise Bell. He's my guy, this, that, and the third. But like he said at the end of the interview, I can only do so much. There's only so much a coach can do. A coach can't tell a player how to make a play, right? So, and he speaks about LVE being kind of that role filler. Well, hey, like, I couldn't be there every second of the time or every second of the day, but LVE was there. When Damone needed him, and now with him going down, like, what other veteran experience do I have in this room, right? And you can just, me personally, I think you can just kind of feel his frustration. He doesn't have many linebackers to speak of, and just keep listening. Just listen to his rhetoric as time goes on. This is after the draft. This is after they got Maris Leofow. And he's still hoping for more guys to be brought into the room.
It's going to be, and we hope to add today, and that we still need some numbers in the room just overall.
Absolutely.
So by the time training camp comes around, we really hope to have a competitive group going into the fall.
What trait did you identify coming into the draft or coming into the offseason that you said, I really want to get more of this in the linebacker room?
I think for us, we just wanted good depth linebacker player. We need more bodies in the room, quite frankly, and good football players. And that's my thing right there. We'll figure out a way to use them. We have a good vision of Maris right now, what he can be, okay, with his ability to blitz and do all those things. But we want good football players in the room that are going to create competition. Now, we've got a diverse group. We've got a lot of different football players too. He's been through a lot, so we'll lean on him as well, all right, as being another voice, all right, being a veteran presence within our room.
What ways would you say Zim's defense is just a perfect fit for the physicality of some of these guys?
Well, you know what? For one, we're pressuring right now, all right, and we're coming forward a lot more than we did in the past.
Hey, I'm sorry, just skipping you.
We want good football players in the room that are going to create competition. Now, we've got a diverse group. We've got a lot of different guys. We should have a lot of competition, all right, so that should help breed that play style and playing fast and aggressive.
And I'll actually jump back into one more question. Bringing back Damian Wilson.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about what that does for your, not only special teams, but like a leadership role?
No question.
Develop some young players.
He's another great voice to have in the room. He's been through it. He's been through it here before, So we'll lean on him as well, all right, as being another voice, all right, being a veteran presence within our room.
What ways would you say Zim's defense is just a perfect fit for the physicality of some of these guys?
Well, you know what? For one, we're pressuring right now, all right, and we're coming forward a lot more than we did in the past.
Okay, guys. Let me know. I'm really skipping right now. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, but let me know if you guys are still connected. I had to kind of hit the refresh button. Hope you guys are still there with me. Like I said, if you guys are just watching these clips, you can kind of see Scott McCurley's demeanor just kind of change over time. You see his excitement just kind of improve. He's starting to talk more about the guys. As the season kind of started around OTAs, he's mentioning the other guys that they brought in. Let's see. Let me know if you guys are still connected.
All right, and we're coming forward a lot more than we did in the past. With the linebacker position, and anytime you get a couple reps here and there where we're coming forward and we're getting after the quarterback, I mean we gotta love that. So we've got to keep doing our part. All right, winning our one-on-ones, beating backs. All right, communicating, because the system breeds productive linebackers. All right, in that sense. So it's exciting to be a part of that.
Speaking of one of the more athletic groups you've had,
no question. I think as we get going here and we get Demo really back and rolling here too.
He says all good. Why couldn't he use Rashaan Evans?
It's an athletic group with Moan.
No, I don't know. I think that was more of a front office decision. I mean, we saw them kind of get rid of Rashaan Evans like right away after that whole quote unquote he got caught with some marijuana or something like that. So I really think, Shad the Boss Cowboy, he talked about, sons versus bastards. And I just think that was kind of that whole situation where I think they were looking to kind of put a Band-Aid on the situation, but they weren't really trying to fix the situation, right? So, and really the first excuse they had, they kind of got rid of him. So, I just think that just kind of festered in. And Scott McCurley even more. I think his frustration just, we don't get, coach availability, throughout the whole entire year. But I really just think that, I think this just made him upset. I mean, just like we talked about with Zimmer coming in and possibly not being able to get all his weapons. Well, we have Scott McCurley, a linebacker room who had a linebacker and two possibles. You know what I'm saying? With Micah Parsons and Marquise Bell. He's coming out being a safety, and Micah Parsons is spending half his time with the defensive edges. So, can you really translate that much to players who aren't really what I'm saying? Exactly. I think we really needed Rashaan Evans as well. I was excited when they brought him in, and even with some of the flashes he showed on the field, they still didn't use him like that. So that was definitely disappointing. But like I said, you guys can see as time goes on, you see his excitement. You don't hear that kind of like monotone, that monotone in his voice as much anymore. You kind of start to see excitement. And even in his final clip right here, I'm gonna bring up. I believe it's Brad Sham who asks him the question: what do you think makes Zimmer's defense perfect? I mean, Zimmer's scheme perfect for this defense. And just listen, you see him smile. You start, saying, "Hey, man, we're pressuring now even more at the line. We're coming down here more often than we ever did, than we did in the past with the linebacker position." So I just think that it's just, he's just showing his excitement about having guys in the room again, and he can run down. Last year he could only mention those three guys we talked about, right? But this year he can run down. He can talk about Damone Clark. He can talk about Damian Wilson, Willie Harvey, these other guys they brought in, Eric Kendricks, who helps him with communicating with the younger guys, and then the UDFAs that you brought on as well. You know what I'm saying? The other guys that you brought on as well. Brock Mogensen, I believe Jason Johnson is his name, another linebacker that they brought on, and even guys that you just signed, Nick Vigil, Darius Harris, who, like I said, who got worked into practice early and was, like I said, was already having an impact. So it's just, I think he's just really excited, and Buddy Johnson, he came in late last season, I think around October, but he stayed on the practice squad. Last season he had Malik Jefferson, who I think only took a total of 6 snaps in the whole season. He had to deal with injury. So, Scott McCurley just never really had, tools to work with, if you will.
It's exciting to be a part of that.
Speaking of one of the more athletic groups,
you know what? No question. I think as we get going here and we get Demo really back and rolling here too, it's an athletic group with Moan, Maris, Demo.
I'm really trying to get this
and
last clip,
anytime
y'all,
you
because this
get
is like
you get a couple
meat and
reps here and
potatoes
there
right
where we're
here.
coming
Like,
forward and we're
this
getting
is
after the
where he
quarterback.
talks about how he
Player
thinks
too.
that
He's been through a
this scheme
lot,
is
so
perfect for the
we'll
defense, and
lean
how
on
it,
him as well. All right, as
particular,
being another voice. All right.
excuse me, y'all, this particular scheme breeds, successful linebackers.
Being a veteran presence within our room.
What ways would you say Zim's defense is just a perfect fit for the physicality of some of these guys?
Well, you know what? For one, we're pressuring right now. All right, and we're coming forward a lot more than we did in the past. You know what, with the linebacker position, and anytime you get a couple reps here and there where we're coming forward and we're getting after the quarterback, I mean, we gotta love that. So we've got to keep doing our part. All right, winning our one-on-ones, beating backs. All right, communicating, because the system breeds productive linebackers. All right, in that sense. So it's exciting to be a part of that.
Speaking of, it's one of the more athletic groups you've had.
You know what? No question. I think as we get going here and we get Demo really back and rolling here too.
All right, so I'm gonna just have to. Look, the clip gonna be included in the description. Make sure you guys just check out the interview. It was just I think it was just about a week ago where he had this interview with DallasCowboys.com where he just talks about how the scheme for this defense is perfect. Like the guys are moving faster, they're coming down here, they're hitting more. He's like so excited about having guys in the room that are able to contribute at this point in time. And like he mentioned, just like I said, throughout the whole offseason, he just wanted competition in the room for these guys to be able to just to create, to make each other better. So let me go ahead and move on to. That was really cooking, y'all. Let me see the last few slides while this shit on me. I ain't gonna lie. This is pissing me off. There with me while I bring up this last slide. I promise y'all, we almost out of here. Okay. Yeah. So like I said, my last kind of point on as far as communication. And even this is late his last week, he's still bringing in linebackers just to kind of shore up the competition. As far as Zimmer's effect on his team is, I mean, we just hear a lot about these young players, right, taking an opportunity, right? We hear about, we hear about Marshawn Nealon asking Rick Ellis for help on his off day, looking at film. I'm saying, and we just hear about the other guy. and making big plays. He always had a huge interception the other day that ended up falling out of his hand. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I'm still here. We're seeing like a black screen. Okay. Let me just kind of sum this show a little bit so we can just kind of get out of here. But like I said, Zimmer is just really, I think his effect is really showing on this team. I'm going to include some clips. Let me see if I can get the last little clip in here.
Here with up-and-coming content creator
Zimmer
Cravin Cowboys. Just want to ask you a couple questions, sir. What makes you most excited about bringing the Cowboys bringing in Zimmer and what he can teach his defensive line?
To have
he's
not
more
just
of
the
a discipline.
physicality, but
He's
it's
going to
also
ask guys
important
to
to have
do
the
their job.
mindset. It's important to
play
have the
their
IQ. It's important to be willing to learn. And we see that a lot with these young guys and also the veterans. They're not afraid to let go of old ideologies. They're not afraid to. Yeah, it did talk to. It did freeze on me, and this whole thing is just kind of going out of whack. I'm kind of mad because I really think I was doing a good thing for whatever reason. It's going off the fritz. Trying to bring up this last clip because it's actually